He gives you the latest sports news, interviews, and life-changing commentary with a smile on his face. Because he wears those ticklish underpants.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, don't forget to get your questions in for the I Have an Opinion bag.
They don't have to be questions.
Yeah. Nope, they don't. They're, in fact, I guess an opinion could be a question.
Mm-hmm. If you don't feel strongly and like you don't have a lot of conviction, phrase it as a question. And then it's like, oh, well, I wasn't saying the stupid thing. I was asking, should Indiana bench Curtis Rourke? Or why can't I remember his name?
You almost got it.
Curtis Rourke?
Yeah, that's Curtis with the K.
See, I had no conviction in what the man's name was.
Have some conviction, Josh. Don't suck. Have a take.
He's just working it to me.
Yeah. Mr. Rourke, whatever you want to call him. We'll open that up in an hour. A quick reminder that Stuff the Truck is coming up December 6th and 7th around here. We're partnering with the United States Marine Corps and Toys for Tots for Stuff the Truck 2024. Like I said, December 6th and 7th, you can stop by our parking lot, 50th and Dodge, 50th and Capitol. You'll see us all out there. And bring your donations for Toys for Tots, new unwrapped toys for the area children. You can drop it off on those days, or if you can't make it to those 2 days, December 6th and 7th, you can drop by our office, say hello to Cynthia, say, Miss Cynthia, I have something for you. It's a new and unwrapped toy for Toys for Tots. You can do that anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, through Tuesday, December 10th, at which point we'll be delivering the truck to make the donation. Brought to you by Woodhouse Chevy and Molina Healthcare of Nebraska. If you need more details, head to 1620thezone.com/stuff-the-truck. Josh.
Love Stuff the Truck.
Dana Holgorsen.
Love Dana Holgorsen.
This guy don't care about nothing. I listened to his press conference yesterday on my drive to lovely Crime Town for a women's basketball game, and I nearly applauded. I could not stand up in my driver's seat in my car. I don't have that capability yet. Good. Maybe I need one of those standing cars. You know, people have standing desks for their work. I need a standing car.
Yeah, why haven't we done that yet?
Why haven't we done a standing car? This is a poll question. Would you drive a standing car?
Like a Segway car? Like if Segway made cars?
Do you want the ability to stand when you drive?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to have the ability to stand when you drive? Yes or no?
I don't.
That's my poll question.
I don't think I do.
I want to have the ability. I love options.
Okay.
I love options. If I'm on a long road trip and I'm sitting for a while, it would be great to kind of just stand up for a while.
We get the Iowa Western, the radio crew, we get the vans that are tall enough.
You could stand all the way up in there?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Those are great for that exact reason. Like, ooh.
That would be it. Yeah, I would
grind. Let me
get
up.
So the poll question's up at Happer Show. Do you want the ability to stand while you drive? Okay. Please vote. It's very important to us. But Dana Holgorsen, he brings something a little bit different to the table. You're about to hear it a little bit. By the way, Headley says it's called a bus or a train.
No.
I want to drive the car. I want to drive the car or the piece of machinery, whatever. Travis says feels a bit unsafe. Oh, you'd have to reconfigure the pedals and things like that. They could figure it out. Modern technology is fantastic. Engineering, you guys could do it. I believe in you. Let's hear some clips here from Dana Holgorsen and his evaluation of some of the things after going through it in the first round. It's great listening to his press conference yesterday when he, talked about how much of a whirlwind he's been. I thought Tony White actually laid it out pretty well. He was asked yesterday, "Hey, what do you think about working with Dana Holgorsen?" And he was like, "Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Like, I don't really know him. He's kind of in a room all day long." Like, I imagine they just stuffed Dana Holgorsen into a smelly room and he's just grinding tape constantly.
You can put your laptop on that desk there in the bullpen. That's fine.
Just figuring it out. As you'll notice, he's not quite certain who his players are yet, but he does know them by number. Doesn't bother me, for the record, and I don't think it should bother you. Here is Dana Holgorsen on his evaluation of Nebraska's run game on Saturday.
I thought we ran block well on Saturday. They say it's the O-line's best game up front. I thought we played well up front. I can't gauge it on what happened in the first 9 games, but I was pleasantly surprised with our pad level, our toughness. Assignment wise being good. I thought we had, a couple of runs that were good, tough runs that got good, tough yards. But, I know Coach Rule mentioned it yesterday. There's a lot of yards left out there. When I can push the back and there's a hole like this, and the back's not in it, it's discouraging, and so just got to get those guys to open their eyes and trust the blocks and hit it. I thought at halftime I told the running back coach, I was like, they need to hit that thing better because there are some holes there. It is what it is. You get it up to the second level. We need to get some backs that can make some guys miss in open field. Some of those tackles that USC had are hard tackles, and they made them. So I was pleased with the scheme. I was pleased with what it looked like. We have to get more production.
Isn't that beautiful?
I like the way that guy talks.
I do too. And I think he's allowed to do this. And we're going to hear it with the wide receivers in a second as well. Because I think that was the quote that kind of got out there a little bit more yesterday.
Nationally.
I think he's allowed to do this because he is the new guy with the fresh eyes, and he could come in and be like, yeah, and he has a lot to his resume, right? He's been one of the brightest offensive minds in the game for a long time. He's routinely graded out as like a top tier play caller. There's people who do analytics on these type of things that get used all around the country, and Dana Holgorsen has long been one of the best at his job as an offensive coordinator.
Connor, your thoughts on analytics?
Analytics. I love analytics.
There it is.
And it's easy to see why. It's easy to see why he's so good at this. And it's easy to see why maybe head coaching was maybe not right for him, or it wouldn't be right for him at a place like this, because compare that and contrast that to what Matt Rule says in a daily. He is constantly, and maybe this happens a little bit too much, he is constantly worried about what he's going to say. He even says it out loud sometimes. He's like, I got to be careful what I'm going to say here because I know that they're listening.
He says that much.
I got to be careful what I'm going to say here. Because Matt Rule is bringing these people into his program as people. Like, they're not just football players. They want them to create great football plays while they're here at Nebraska and be great football players eventually, when they're done and as they develop. But they're also bringing the right people in because culture matters. If you're the offensive coordinator, that's just stuff that you don't really have to think about. If you're the offensive coordinator, the head coach gives you the players, the player development people give you the players, and you have to call the plays. You call the plays that get the players in the position to make the plays. And Dana Holgorsen has been one of the best at that pretty much everywhere he's been. And there is a certain lack of, there is a certain displacement from emotion and feeling. And I think Nebraska has been operating too much on emotion and feeling. So it's really refreshing to hear that guy come in and just frankly say, look, I'm the offensive coordinator. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done here before. I'm going to try and get up to speed as much as I can on what I think you can do well, but I got to see it. You have to show me something. You got to be good at this. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're not going to play. And then you heard him talk about a wide receiver I don't know if it was a wide receiver. It likely is a wide receiver. We can talk about that. But a guy that he quote unquote found in practice. He said, "Hey, I like this guy. Can we play him?" He's going to go to the rest. And then that's a personnel decision.
Sure, coach.
That's a personnel decision, though. Like, that's something that Matt Rule has the ability to say yes or no to based on what he feels, not if he's ready to play football yet, because the offensive coordinator has obviously decided that this person is ready to play football, but is it the right move for them in the development of the large picture of their career? You see how it's big picture versus little picture? Smaller picture anyway? It's just like it just makes sense, and it's pretty lined up right from the top down, because you still know the hoops that you have to go through to be able to get where you want to go. But in large part, Dana Holgorsen, he's got some real autonomy to make some decisions and do some things here, and I think he most importantly has the autonomy to say what he needs to say for the people to get in the right position to be able to do what they want him to do.
Travis with a poll question suggestion in the YouTube chat.
Okay.
Let's talk this out. Do you got to hit that thing better?
Yeah, you got to hit that thing.
Got to hit that thing better.
I like how he said it. I told the running back coach that. He didn't tell EJ Barthel that. He said, I told the running back coach. I was like, I went up to that guy and I was like, can you hit that thing better?
You got to hit that thing better.
Yeah, definitely. We could definitely put that. Like, I just think this is really welcome in this program right now. I have no idea if it's going to work. Don't get me wrong. I don't know, and I don't know if he's going to be here next year. But I thought it was good to hear him talk about. Yeah, we don't have this clip, but I thought it was good to hear him talk about yesterday the why of, like, hey, why are you here? And the quote obviously got around, and it was, well, I was bored. But in there is his reasoning. I was at TCU for a couple weeks during camp, and then once we started getting ready for games, they told me to get lost. They told me to go. I went on vacation. He said I went on vacation.
Oh.
And then I was around him a little bit. I would come and I would go, but I wasn't in, and I went to, I think he said I went to 2 games this year. And one of them, he was in a suite. And the other one, he was on the sideline, like with the sideline pass, not coaching. And he was like, that sucked. I want control. And Rule said, why don't you come up here and you can have some of that. I think it's a pretty big move by Rule to say that too, because what he's effectively doing, as I said before, when Holgorsen got here, is he's taking a step back. It's a lot of trust in a guy that, has a great rest. He's the right guy to trust. I'll put my chips in on Dana Holgorsen, given his track record and resume. But it is a lot of trust to having a guy, right now. It's clear that Nebraska is desperate for something to change over the final 3 games of the regular season, now 2 games of the regular season. And Dylan Raiola, by the way, for those of you weirdos who are freaked out about this, he reiterated his guarantee for a bowl game yesterday. He said, yeah, we got 2 more, and then we got the bowl. And so
it's happening.
People for whatever reason got freaked out about that a couple of days ago. I was like, I could not care less that anyone on your team said, we're going to a bowl game. We're going to get ready. We're approaching this like we're going to a bowl game. What's wrong with you people? What's wrong with you?
But the sky is falling, Connor.
Yeah, I want the players to think that they're going to go to a bowl game.
Right, exactly. Imagine if Dylon came out there.
We got these 2 games I don't really know.
I don't know. I think I'm going to vote with my wallet and not show up on Saturday, guys. I don't know if I should do this anymore. You would roast him.
I don't really know. I don't know if that's such a good idea. Here's Dana Holgorsen on.
If the coach could just put their cigarette out on my nipples, that would be great.
Josh. Just had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Dana Holgorsen on Nebraska's wide receivers and what he's seen out of that group so far in his limited time at Nebraska.
I thought they blocked well. That's the first thing I challenged them. I was like, guys, I said, you guys are fairly big kids. I know 17's not a big kid, but he's a tough kid. But there's some good sized kids out there. 16, 18, 4. These guys, 29. These guys are big bodies. I'm like, why are you not blocking worth the crap on the perimeter? It's embarrassing. I mean, you got being a receiver, you think, they want touches, throw me the ball, throw me the ball. First thing I said to him, if you don't start blocking out there, then you're not going to get the ball thrown to you. And this past week, it was our best perimeter blocking of the season. I was very happy with those guys, and they're proud of it, because they worked hard on it for 2 weeks. That's where it starts, and then just details of route running and ball skills. We got guys that can make plays. The problem that we probably ran into last week is not defeating man coverage. USC's very talented in their secondary. Wisconsin's very talented in their secondary. Both are going to play a lot of man. We didn't do a very good job of separation last week. We need to do a better job of that this week for us to be successful against Wisconsin.
There's just in the way that it has kind of been around here. I've mentioned this before, but it just seems like a lot of Nebraska, what they were doing, how they were game planning, and what they would do, the decisions they would make in the game would be really, really pretty reactionary, right? So you hear Holgorsen talk about, well, USC is really talented, and you hear coaches say that all the time. Obviously, they're giving the respect to their opponents and all these things. But in my mind, it's the offensive coordinator's job to say, yeah, they're talented, but we're talented. I don't care how talented anybody is. It's our job to beat them, regardless of the personnel that we have. If I was the offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator or whatever at Western Kentucky, and I was going up against Texas this week, be like, yeah, they're really talented, and it's quite the task, and we're going to have to play really well, but it's our job to win. It's our job to beat them. There's not all this like, oh, well, they're this and they're that, so we couldn't do this and we couldn't do that. Play your game, see where it goes. And I think that's kind of the type of thing that Dana Holgorsen is trying to instill in your guys. And I find it kind of nice to hear that he came in and saw a lot of the same things that I saw. Like, I've been telling you guys this for a while. Like, I think Nebraska has good enough players. I think he thinks they have good enough players. I don't think that's just lip service. You heard him. Look, 4, 18, 20. Let's see if I can get the numbers right. 28, 17.
Yeah, 17. I knew there was a 7 in there somewhere.
17 is Ja'Cory Barney.
Mm-hmm.
4 is Jamal Banks. 18 is Isaiah Nair. 29 is Carter Nelson.
He didn't have to take the job. Like, if he didn't think this could work, he wouldn't have.
Yeah. Right.
It's not like he's getting paid $1.4 million.
And so he's coming in and he's like, well, you guys are good. Just play better. What's wrong with you? Right? Yeah. Isn't that kind of, how it sounds to you?
Beat the man coverage.
I very much enjoyed this. And someone said before, Bam on the YouTube stream, seems like he could be a good yin to Rule's yang. This is a pretty traditional head coach, offensive coordinator setup. The rub that you always have with these type of things, not in terms of like their backgrounds and stuff like that, but in terms of the head coach is the head coach, the offensive coordinator is the offensive coordinator. I think it's been hard that Rule has had this real stark realization in his career that he's just not involved in the football stuff as much as he wants to be. Most football coaches want to be football coaches. They don't get into it because they want to be the next great CEO head coach. That's not why Nick Saban did it. But Nick Saban got really, really good at doing exactly that. And he hired great people around him. And sometimes he hired people who thought about football differently and brought in new concepts and ideas. And so there's always going to be, I think, this push and pull between the head coach and the offensive coordinator on aggression and who do we need to get going and personalities and culture and yeah, but I'm thinking about it this way, but you're thinking about it that way. There's always that. That's fine. That's fine. When your offensive coordinator and your head coach are the same, thing, like the offensive coordinator is basically the physical embodiment of the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive embodiment of the head coach. That you lack the balance there that I think that you kind of desire. And I think I've seen a little bit of that change these last couple of weeks.
Do you think it dawned on Matt Rule at Nebraska that he's more of a CEO?
What do you mean?
Like
Like Yogurt
think,
Man?
No, like, do you think it dawned on Matt Rule in his time here in
Oh,
Lincoln?
I thought you meant the people in Nebraska.
Yes, I think I'm more of a CEO coach.
Yeah, I think this is new.
Yeah.
I think this is new because he said a couple weeks ago, he said something to the effect of like, he didn't say like, I'm sad, but he expressed, he lamented the fact that when you are the head coach, people treat you differently.
Mm-hmm.
People on your staff treat you differently. And like I said, rules of football, like he wants to coach football, but he's risen to this point in his career where he's the head coach and he would just be a way overqualified position coach at this point.
Yeah.
So you just have to be what the job tells you have to be. And frankly, I think his skill set to do the job that he is doing is really good. It's not to coordinate offense, or it's not to have his extra arm coordinating an offense. I think Rule's really good with personalities and people and culture and really big picture stuff. But the minute details, you need somebody really good for that. And that's the offensive coordinator. This guy is really good. Like I said, I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to result in a win in the last 2 games. But I do think it is the right move. I do think it's the right thing. And he's the right person to be in that position right now. Chris writes in on the text line.
Hi, Chris.
T-shirt idea. Got to hit that thing better. Got to hit that thing harder.
Hit that thing.
Got to hit that thing better. Could have a lot of connotations.
Yeah. Feels like a Hawk Tua thing.
John, does Barthel need to be assigned a number so Holgorsen can identify him? It seemed as if the only person who Dana Holgorsen actually knew is either, I guess there's 2 people. Dylan Raiola. You referred to Dylan Raiola by name.
Good start.
And number 2, our next guest.
Mitch Sherman?
Yeah, Mitch Sherman.
Wow.
He was like, yeah, Mitch.
Whoa.
Because Mitch, covered the Big 12 for a long time.
Yeah, okay.
He was kind of around. Maybe you remembered him. Obviously, he identified himself yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But that was Dana comes out with this. He's got a full roster, and he doesn't really reference it that much. He decides to just go with the numbers. Maybe he was afraid of some pronunciations or something like that. He didn't want to declare yet whether he was on the Nayer or Nayor train. Or the Raiola or the Raiola.
Right. He didn't do the last name. We'll coach him up. It's fine.
But he got Mitch Sherman.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And so do we.
Let's see. Jesse says Dylan saying they're going to a bowl game is good. It sets a precedent. I don't understand how anyone can think it's bad, to be honest with you.
What if they don't make a bowl game, Connor? Well, then it's bad for not just because Dylan said they were going to a bowl game.
Jeff writes in.
Hi, Jeff.
What does that say about tiny baby wide receiver coach that this was their best wide receiver blocking week?
I can't be good, right?
I think a lot of this works in the context of the offense, right? Individually, you want to have good blockers and willing blockers and guys who can do it. But now you have this reset in terms of not necessarily a scheme, but a pace, a tempo, right? An approach to offense, and it allows a reset. But yeah, I mean, it's probably not a good thing. But it's like people always do that with, hey, well, if the offensive line sucks, then the offensive line coach must suck. Maybe. It's not always that.
Maybe his players suck.
It's not. Maybe his players suck. Maybe the scheme sucks. Maybe the quarterback sucks. Maybe the running backs suck. People love to throw the offensive line under the bus this year, and meanwhile, Nebraska can't run the ball. New offensive coordinator comes in and he goes, "There's holes. You got to hit them things." Does the offensive line still suck? So like people do that all the time, and it's just hard.
Look at the 2 football teams in New York. Do you think their poor records are a reflection of coaching or player personnel?
Maybe some bad organizations.